Hey, DEMCAD, want to comment on Krabby Dog Tricks and his union suck-ups. I'll tell you what, I don't have as much a problem for unions in public, in private industry where they are in dangerous jobs, where, working around dangerous equipment. But let's just be honest here. Most public union workers, school teachers, have never had terrible labor conditions. School teachers can't complain. I mean, you get off at 3 o'clock every day. You get every holiday off. You get the summers off. And then you get to retire in 30 years with 90% of your salary. I have a couple retired teachers in my family. They retired early. It pisses me off to see that I'm going to be working until I'm 100 years old or whenever I die to pay for them to be off work and to enjoy their life and complain about Republicans and people wanting to cut their gravy train. The thing you want to ask Krabby Dog Tricks is, first of all, where does the money come from to pay the pensions and the over-the-top benefits that these public union workers do? What is their copay for insurance? What do they have to pay out of their salary and out of their retirement to pay for their own medical? What kind of copays? What kind of, if you have a major surgery, how much down do they have to pay? A lot of these places, these people don't pay anything. They don't even have copays in a lot of cases. And if I'm not mistaken, what the governor of Wisconsin wants to do is require these people to pay some of their medical. And I, for one, am in the private sector. And this year and last year and the year before, our health insurance coverage went down while the rates we pay went up. I have a child with a heart problem, and so we pay a lot of money every year on appointments and medications and all sorts of stuff. I have to pay higher taxes in order to pay these lazy-ass union workers for the state of California and the state of Wisconsin and all these other states so they can get guaranteed free cradle-to-grave health insurance, health benefits. Plus, they get to retire after just 30 years of work, where I'm going to have to work basically till the rest of my life, because unless you're a master at the stock market and unless you work for Goldman Sachs, you are not in that category. You just aren't going to have a retirement. And it is another fact that eventually here, the Congress of the United States of America is going to take everyone's 401ks and IRAs. They're going to turn them into annuity. The government's going to strip the cash value out, hand it over to the Wall Street bankers. And if we're lucky, when we retire, we might get, if the tax receipts are worth anything at that point, we might get a little piece of what we worked so hard to save for ourselves in our future. While these people in these public unions are sitting there retired, and we are paying so they can sit there on their butts. But here's the problem. They're not going to get to sit there on their butts, because what has happened is all of their funds were these, from the tax receipts of last year that went into these retirement packages for these public unions. Basically, Goldman Sachs and Wall Street has stolen all that value. If you haven't noticed, public unions' pensions are underfunded, and I've heard upwards of $5 trillion. There's no money for these people. And the tax receipts right now in Wisconsin and every other state are falling off, and there's no money to pay them. And so I'm actually happy to see these people protesting, even though they're getting paid to protest because they're skipping work and getting paid because they're union members. Until people look at where the money comes from, where the money went, who stole their pension money, why they were offered that kind of pension money in the first place, it's all a Ponzi scheme. It's always been a Ponzi scheme. It's not Republican. It's not Democrat. It's Wall Street. The people who control these unions work for the Wall Street bankers, just as the people who control the major corporations work for the Wall Street bankers. It's not too hard to figure out. Follow the money. It's all right there in black and white. Fact is, the public people and the public unions are getting ready to get on the street with the rest of us because their gravy train is over. And the tax receipts that come in, the first thing that's going to get paid is interest to the Wall Street bankers. And so to really give a good review of this union situation in the public unions, you have to look at that and look at how they've been duped. And so sadly, these people who are sitting there figuring that they've got their entire life to just sit there and be retired, That is getting ready to change in the next 18 months, and not only in the budgets for 2011, but 2012. Assuming that the Wall Street hadn't crashed at that point, it will become painfully obvious to these people that they've been bamboozled. All right, DEMCAD, thanks a lot for listening.